Hello guys, how's it going? When I was a younger boy, life was harder for me, and I'm gonna probably talk about the things that I could control and that was coming from me instead of talking about the environment and the people that I was with. I'm going to talk about the things that I could control in my life then, okay? The ways that my life was harder then was for two main reasons. One, I wasn't able to communicate as much. It was much harder for me to develop and start talking the way I do, at least now. And I didn't have much hope then. But by the time I grew up, essentially that wasn't an issue anymore. And until I was able to speak clearly and I was able to speak more fluently, I had I had hard times. It wasn't easy, it wasn't pleasant, and it didn't actually matter until I managed to do it. Until essentially I until I was able to talk, nothing really mattered to other people as well because I wasn't also able to communicate. And so that was one thing, being able to communicate. And second would be that I wasn't able to think. I didn't know what thought was. I didn't know the process of thinking was. And so when you're living life as a young boy and you're pretty much more spontaneous and in a way that harms you, and you're doing things that you regret doing after small seconds after that action you regret, you realize that you wish you didn't do it. But hey, what are you gonna do? If you're a young child, you don't know how to think. Eventually, you must spend some time for you to learn how to think. And so, good for me, that turned out well, at least for me. And so, if I want to move on with my life, if I want to be able to communicate, if I want to be able to think, and I didn't have those things, I basically had an how should I say this, default programming or default state that basically made me want to be able to get the things I want. Either that was from brute force, and either that was from intense consistency into trying and trying and trying until I was able to, for example, communicate. I was able to think for myself and make better decisions for my life. I had a default programming or state, let's say, and that was, of course, being furious, being mad. And in a way, I grew up with anger, with my idea of not giving up, essentially, because I was pissed I didn't get the result I want. And I didn't really like how I interacted with people back then, and I want to make better life decisions for myself. And the thing is that when I was seeing that I was doing things that I wish I didn't, I was actually also getting mad at myself. I was getting mad at myself for not being able to do it in the first place and for repeating the exact same mistake over and over and over again. And so my thing is that I think I grew up with anger, and I believe I carried them along I carried them along for many years, and even now, many times. So much so that I would say that I would even say that I almost enjoy it. I take pleasure into being mad for some reason. And so why I'm saying this? How can someone love, or even or just love is a heavy word, or just enjoy being mad? It doesn't make sense. You don't really know how to get mad or what anger means if you like being mad or angered. Basically, it's just that for some reason, wrath in general, is genuinely is intense amounts of energy released in moments when something believe that something might as well go wrong, right or wrong. Basically, I'm not really against anger. For the most part, it makes sense. Essentially, anger is its own a sense of right and wrong. And why this matters? Well, in my opinion, I think that, myself included, many people don't really express their anger because it's a kind of taboo, in my opinion. I don't think that people are allowed to talk about their anger as if it's just a simple emotion. For example, someone can say that I'm hungry. Someone can say that I want to relax, I want to chill out. Or someone can say that I want to work and produce some great goods for me and my loved ones, or whatever. And so people are typically are allowed to say their expressions, to describe their emotional state, but not necessarily for anger. And there is some explanation to that. For example, if someone is mad and is moving intensely and he shows his dark energy, his essentially evil, toxic energy of anger, of essentially fisting his hands way too hard, or looking at the other person, or looking at the other people's eyes in the eyes intensely. What do you want? You know, something like that. I'm not angry. I just want to make a demonstration. I'm sorry. And I'm saying this because anger may as well seem for many people offensive, way too dangerous for many people. Basically, if that person gets angry and wants to just release that toxic energy that he has or she has, potentially he can harm others and also himself. And so that is why I believe anger may as well be a taboo for many people, because no one wants to perceive that someone is dangerous and also not being worthy to be in the group or in the gang in a way. That's one reason. Another reason I can think of is that essentially anger, or too much, as to say, anger, not just pissed off, furious. I mean, the anger that you would be that you are willing to harm somebody else. It's also an indication of wound. Someone probably is wounded. Someone hurts when he's so mad, in a way. And so many people, I believe, would probably avoid conflict to either avoid the person who can get easily mad or avoid themselves getting mad, simply because if people realize that you are getting easily mad and pissed off, basically the ones who's getting mad is getting manipulated way easily. Why? Simple because it's an off button. It's a button that someone can push and probably make the other person angry or mad. And basically, the moment that the other person gets angry or admits he's angry or she's angry, or that he or she does something very quick, very fast, and something potentially dangerous, basically in a debate or in an argument, the one person that got mad, the other person is right, because automatically that getting mad is not an behavior. It's not a behavior that anybody is going to tolerate just because. That's because, again, that anger shows to society that if someone gets mad, either he's wounded or she's wounded, or mentally weak or dangerous in a way, and cannot control themselves. And so basically, when people have tendencies to absolutely avoid getting mad, this probably is not released. In fact, it's the exact opposite. If there is no way to release that anger, to find ways not to get mad, to find ways to calm yourself, ideally instantaneously, instant. I mean, you're getting mad and then peace, you do something like that and it essentially works. If you don't do those things and you do not know how to deal with anger, basically that anger builds up and it's just anger after anger after anger after anger after anger, and then you have an entire pile, a huge mountain, of memories that made you furious and you haven't let go, and that's just can make you explode. And of course, exploding probably is not the greatest solution to means to an end. You can probably solve any differences with anger in that case by essentially speaking to the other person. You can by being probably violent, but that's I believe, the old standards of dealing with people. Now that's just not the case. It's never okay to be angry in society, because it is never okay to be dangerous. It is never okay to be weak and vulnerable and wounded. And it's never okay to basically not knowing how to deal with your life's difficulties. And so I had this perception from a very younger age, and basically for every time that my life was hard or didn't go as well as I wanted, didn't go the direction that I desired, basically I was falling into anger, into fury, in a way. And so it's just that for some reason, when I'm pissed off, when at the worst time pissed off, right? My hands are almost like they feel Titanic in a way. Does that make sense? They feel like as if I'm going to punch anything, regardless of what it is in front of me, it's going to break. Whether it's a wall, whether it's something of steel, whatever. But of course, that's just the delusion of anger. The conviction that the emotion of anger has upon us when we do not know how to control him basically can make you believe that you can be the king of the world and basically break your hand or a limb and essentially destroy a relationship or make a greater damage because you are able to feel anger. Well, that's just one of the curses that we have as human beings for living. Basically, anyone who can live can actually feel emotions such as anger. And in my case, seems to be many times a guilty pleasure of mine, anger. In what sense? I have the impression that people do not really care about each other as much as they show. And I think today I can see it more, that people almost love torturing each other by playing the societal game, I should say, and insult you and degrade you and or even humiliate you or even searching for your buttons in front of you so that I can make you mad so that they can have fun with you being mad. And this is just insufferable to deal with. Such people are just almost everywhere, such kind of people. That just love having the pleasure of seeing you getting mad or suffer. Because they did it and they can get away with it by just saying, you can control your anger and you're supposed to, so it's your fault you're mad, which is actually true. And the thing is that it's no one's other's fault other than the person who gets mad that he or she is mad. And so when someone plays it dumb but knows exactly what he or she does and makes other people mad, and then the other person actually gets annoyed or genuinely mad, then many people would just disregard that and say, stop being mad because it's wrong to be mad, and essentially you're wrong for being mad for absolutely everything. If you're mad, you're wrong about everything if you're in the state of you being furious. Why? Because you're dangerous. And so it's an evil trap for people to make you mad because they want to be right. But that's also a thing, that if you see that someone is mad, you don't just say, fix your anger or something like that, or you just deflect and get away. That person probably hurts. So a great question that I ask to other people, especially if I found them mad, or if I'm me with myself, basically I'm trying to to answer the question, okay, are you mad? If yes or no. Okay, if yes, then what happened? What annoyed you? What went wrong? Basically, what did you see wrong? What did you perceive wrong? Or generally, what you saw that you thought was wrong and dangerous and inexcusable in a way. And basically, for the most part, if we see someone getting mad, insanely mad, and we try to listen to the other person what went wrong, the person that is actually mad, what went wrong, it's almost never just because I love being angry. I just love the sensation. It's never gonna be like that, right? In my opinion. For the most part, 99%, if you ask the other person who's mad, okay, are you annoyed? Are you mad? What happened? If you ask a question, something like that, that essentially points out what the other person saw wrong, he or she is going to answer you with honesty. And if that person who's mad answers it with honesty, then it's game over. Then you can generally start trying to, in a way, heal the angered one. Because when people are insanely mad or angry, they hurt. They hurt, not only on the soul, but in their physical body. It's just extremely stressful to be mad. It can tremble you, it can make you shake. The hands that first seemed as if they're made of steel and they're titanic and you could break everything, suddenly starts to get extremely tired, and then that absorbs all the energy that you had all day. And it can basically ruin your day if you woke up greatly and wanted to have a productive, beautiful, gorgeous day. And so I'm saying this because I realized that anger for me used to be a guilty pleasure, and still is many times. And I should have known that this is something to avoid, not to inspire anger itself. Even for the smallest things. Someone can get mad, and myself included. But for the most part, I talk about myself, but many other people can relate, who knows. And so I used to get mad for, and I still do sometimes, for even the smallest of things. Something goes slightly wrong. I put, let's say, some coffee in my cup, and some coffee happens to run out of the cup and essentially make a ruin out of the table. It's like, why did that have to happen? In a way, that can be a small reaction and a small amount of anger, but still, it is nothing if you really think that actually nothing happened. That you take the cup, you wash the surface of the table, and then that's it. That's just the end of it. When we enrich our anger is more, how should I say this, more vulnerable to explosion. We are more vulnerable. We have a tendency to get angry more when we fuel our anger more. And I think that a very strong fuel of our anger is, of course, our past. And some of the most ridiculous, inexcusable memories that I used to have when talk about anger and thought about my anger, that I was using memories that of the past, and also I made of myself mind. In my own mind, I made scenarios that would actually was going to fuel and made my anger stronger, because feeling strong with anger is addictive, my friends. That is my opinion. When people are getting insanely mad, they also feel intensely strong and powerful, and the energy is through the roof. And that is addictive. That energy, that toxic energy that blinds our reason and makes us want to get more and more angry if we have the right circumstances, the right memories, the right scenarios in our heads. Imagine yourself to just treat other people's like shit, to basically destroy them, to physically make them ruin, or publicly humiliate them, or that kind of things. Basically, that fuels anger. Why? Because it turns out to be satisfying. That's another reason why anger is so dangerous, and why I should have seen earlier that being so mad, so furious, basically hurts in almost every way. It hurts your soul. It hurts your physical body, literally. You shake and then you have no energy. It burns out your energy. It fuels past memories and present scenarios that are just completely wrong, and they just exist for the sake of just making your anger stronger. And of course, that can just destroy relationships, destroys yourself. Constantly living in such stressful situations and living in basically in blindness, that if you take revenge of someone, if you humiliate someone, if you be violent towards someone, this is going to solve the anger satisfaction of having released that intense energy in the first place. And so I believe that this is kind of a guilty pleasure, because sometimes those things happen to me. But I would say, of course, that it's not something I'm proud of. I shouldn't be doing it. And I have, of course, reduced it to as much as I could. And the idea is that I don't think I really am a angry person. I would say that I had memories that was horrifying, and they could definitely be avoided. And I saw late that this is just disaster. This hurts me. This hurts everything, and I should be careful. Life is more, and relationships come and go. But genuine relationships are the ones that I should try to keep I should try to keep the most, and basically do not in any way, I myself, right, try to raise my voice or seem dangerous or this kind of stuff. And if I see the situation with reason, basically I can almost guarantee that the question, when is it okay to treat the other person like crap? My logical answer, and the answer that I give today, is basically never. It's never acceptable to treat other people like shit. It's never acceptable to underestimate anyone. It's never acceptable to insult anyone. It's never acceptable to be violent towards anyone. It's never acceptable to want to humiliate other people. And basically I saw that, and I had a new perspective. Anger, it's a natural proclivity. It's a natural emotion. But the thing is that it has disastrous consequences. I shouldn't be the guy that, for everything small that goes wrong in my life, should be the one to explode with anger. I shouldn't be doing that. And for the most part, I'm not doing this. I may as well some days be irritated and pissed off at the situation and not really happy with how things are going sometimes. But the thing is that, good for me, I meditated. I'm still meditating for years, and I'll be meditating for years to come. Good for me. And I realized that the thing that I thought was exhilarating and in a way thought feels amazing is basically something to completely avoid. It's wrong. You're unreasonable if you feel pleasure with that. It's just wrong. It's just treating yourself horribly, and your loved ones horribly, and of course, the people that you do not care about them and that are unknown to you, you treat them horribly, and everything loses. And this should not be behavior that I should inspire. But that's the thing. Now that I see things clearly, at least more clearly, it's something that I would not promote. Definitely, I would not repeat or say that this is something I should be doing. It definitely is something that is not worth my time anymore. Getting mad is something that I should see as not a curse. That's a heavy word. That's a strong word, but more like as something that exists now and only now for the time being. Then it smokes. It's just waste of time and energy, and good for me that I decided to say, you know what, this is something I promote. It's not something I approve, and I'll try to cut it as much as possible, as fast as possible. But that was the idea. And so, thank you so much for your time, and that was my video for today. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, and thank you.